Hey guys, it's Lonely Fanboy 48 here, and I'm bringing you another Lonely review. This time, I'm going to review a movie based on a book, and that is Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I did read the book, and I did read some of the sequel books, and I did watch all three movies, and I've heard that there's going to be a fourth movie coming in 2017. So I decided to review this movie. Now, before any of you ask, I really like this movie. I completely enjoy it. As for the sequels, I'll get to them later, but for right now, let's talk about the story. The story starts off with Greg Heffley, played by Zachary Gordon, who came into middle school and he really didn't like it. In fact, he said that it's the dumbest idea ever invented. Over the rest of the movie, he just talks about how bad the school is and really didn't enjoy it that much, and him trying to be a class favorite just doesn't work out. And his best friend is Riley Jefferson, who both of these two have vastly different things. I'll explain more later on. He has a brother called Roderick, who doesn't trust Greg Heffley at all in this movie, except in the next movie. And I know I really am not talking about much about the characters, but I'll get more on them later. For right now, let's talk about more about this movie. Like I said earlier, I did read the book, and I really know what this movie is about. Unfortunately, I do like this movie, but the problems that they have is that this is an adaptation. I'll explain more about this later, but I really like about this movie is that it takes ideas from the book and create them into a movie, which is really something amazing. Like, the casting in this movie is really great. I don't know all the names, but I know some of them, like Zachary Gordon. I know I'm not spelling his name right, but I'm trying. And other cast members are really decent. Some people say that their acting is pretty bad, but I really don't blame the people who made this movie that much, since they're trying to find actors that look similar to the ones in the book. Greg Heffley is good, but even though he keeps bragging about himself that he wants to be a class favorite, he's still fine for what he is. But every time he tries to become a class favorite, that things just don't go well as he expected, it just makes him going way down the scale. As for Wally, I think the actor who played him looked really good. I can't believe they made Wally from the book into a movie form look really good. Roderick is the typical not getting along brother, but just always pranks on Greg, and I do like his character a lot. In the movie, he's really the same in the book, and I really like it for that reason. As for Greg's parents and Manny, they're okay. I can understand that their acting can be a bit bad and they don't get it right most of the time, but they're fine for what they are. The three teens in this movie are antagonists, and they're pretty decent. They're not one of the best teens antagonists in this movie, but I kind of like them for what they are. You may think that they're really not good when you first see them, but they'll really become very intimidating later on in this movie when they, spoiler alert, they feed Wally the raw cheese. But anyway, let's talk about a few more characters before I move on. Flegley is good. In fact, they completely make the character from the book into this movie the exact same character. The actor who played them really makes it fit. In fact, like I said earlier, all the people in this movie, the actors are really decent. Well, that would be, well, for one exception, and that would be Patty Farrell. In the book, she was a know-it-all, and she pretty much is really smart. In this movie, she is like that, but they decide to make her a more aggressive and mean character. Now, before any of you ask, I don't have a problem with mean characters, unless if they execute it right. This movie, however, since this is an adaptation, they decide to make her more of an aggressive and mean character. In this movie, he threatens Greg to beat him up because he really doesn't want Greg to be in her way a lot. If you want to know why, because in kindergarten, he made fun of her in front of the class. And that's about it. There's really nothing else. I know that this thing dragged on forever, but that's literally the only thing that ever happened. In fact, I think everyone else must have gotten over it by now. But this is my least favorite character in this movie. Why? Well, even though that I can understand why she can be furious at Greg, but she doesn't have to be completely furious for over everything that Greg does. In fact, he completely blames Greg for everything. She says that he just ruins everything, and Greg is really getting sick and tired of it. And I really don't like of how they execute her completely a jerk to Greg, and just gets her way almost all the time. Also, does anyone notice that is Peripheral the main reason why Greg keeps going down the scale? I mean, I can understand that Greg isn't the most talented person in the world. In fact, he's good at singing. Seriously, why can't he just sing? I mean, that's literally the only thing that he can do, unlike Peripheral can do. I mean, I know Peripheral can sing, but Greg can sing as well. Maybe he could have just go somewhere else. But anyways, Peripheral keeps Greg completely down the school scale almost every time. The first time was in wrestling, which the teachers decided to let her complete because I'll explain later. And the second was the Wizard of Oz performance. And now I can understand why Greg got a little blame from this because he didn't sing a lot and make the other two trees can't sing. But I really don't blame him for that. For one, I can understand that this happened in the book, but I'll explain about that soon. He got filmed by Roderick, and he doesn't want to sing because he doesn't want to get embarrassed. Seriously, if Roderick never filmed this, none of this would have never happened. But then again, he's a brother, and he decides to prank on his little brother no matter what. It's logical, but it's still irritating and mean. Which completely takes Peripheral off. Now, I can understand that Greg Heffley is going through these problems, that he's not really talented at all, and he sometimes can't do anything right. And I know that all this happened, like the trees not allowing to throw apples at Peripheral did happen in the book, and there were a lot of changes that they make in this, and I can understand that they made this exactly like the book. But here's the thing: when they make an adaptation with changes, some of these things in this movie just doesn't work. I can really sometimes side with Greg if something very unfair is happening. Like, even though that Peripheral has every right to be furious, but how does she know that he stopped singing? I mean, I know that Greg was the one who stopped singing first, but Greg just keeps getting into these issues with the decisions that the school has made. And besides, Peripheral completely said in front of an audience that he would beat Greg up again. I'm not kidding. I know that this is middle school, but they're in 6th grade. At that time, they should be at least smaller than they already are right now. I just really don't like it. In fact, it just makes this scene completely problematic. I would complain that Peripheral deserves more of the punishment, but there's just one thing in this entire movie that all I said just doesn't make this a reality. If you want to know, well, Peripheral just said this.
My mother is the president of the PTA. She can ruin your life.
Seriously, there's something wrong with her and her family. I don't understand what her problem is. I mean, I can understand being mad at Greg, but why does she have to be mad at everyone? I mean, I know that she wants to be independent, but seriously.